history isn't just kings, wars, and dusty old ruins. It's weird, wild, and sometimes straight up unbelievable. So today, buckle up, because I'm about to take you through some of the strangest, funniest, and most mind-blowing moments from the past. And trust me, once you hear these, you'll never look at history the same way again. Benjamin Franklin's naked morning routine. Forget cold plunges and green smoothies. Benjamin Franklin swore by air baths. Every morning, he'd open his windows, strip down completely naked, and sit there for an hour soaking in the breeze. He thought it boosted his health. Science says fresh air is good, but the nudity? Yeah, that was just Ben being Ben.
The first computer bug was a bug. When engineers found the very first computer bug in 1947, it wasn't a glitch in the code. It was a literal moth fried inside Harvard's Mark II computer. They even taped it in their logbook. Imagine fixing your laptop today and finding a butterfly inside. Ketchup as medicine. In the 1830s, ketchup wasn't a condiment, it was a cure-all. Dr. John Cook Bennett sold it as medicine for indigestion and diarrhea. He even made ketchup pills. Spoiler, it worked mostly as a laxative. But hey, people ate it up, literally. Ancient toothpaste was hardcore. The Egyptians brushed with a mix of crushed eggshells, ox hooves, and ash. Later recipes added rock salt and iris flowers. Sounds disgusting, right? But fun fact, it actually cleaned teeth surprisingly well. The dancing plague of 1518. Imagine walking to work and suddenly the whole town is breakdancing uncontrollably. That's what happened in Strasbourg. It started with one woman and spread until 400 people were dancing non-stop for weeks. No music, no DJ, just pure chaos. To this day, nobody knows why. Pirates were surprisingly fair. Turns out, pirate ships weren't dictatorships. Captains were elected, loot was shared fairly, and there was even a health fund for injured crew. Basically, pirates had better workplace benefits than most of us do now. Cleopatra's timeline twist. Here's one that'll mess with your brain. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the moon landing than to the building of the pyramids. By the time she was born, the Great Pyramid was already 2,000 years old. Ancient Egypt was already ancient to the ancient Egyptians. The Great Emu War. Australia once went to war with birds. In 1932, soldiers with machine guns tried to wipe out giant flocks of emus, destroying crops. Guess who won? The emus. The army literally surrendered after weeks of humiliation. Oxford is older than the Aztecs. Oxford University started teaching in 1096, the Aztec capital founded in 1325, which means Oxford is older than the Aztec Empire itself. Mind officially blown. Lincoln, the wrestling legend. Before the Gettysburg Address, Abe Lincoln was busy body slamming dudes. He fought over 300 wrestling matches and lost only once. He's even in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Talk about presidential smackdown. Andrew Jackson's parrot. At President Jackson's funeral, his pet parrot had to be kicked out because it wouldn't stop swearing. Imagine grieving and hearing a bird scream profanity over the casket. Napoleon versus rabbits. Napoleon once organized a rabbit hunt. The plan backfired when thousands of tamed rabbits, expecting food, charged at him instead. He ran away, chased by a fluffy stampede. Greatest military mind of his time, defeated by bunnies. Lord Byron's bear. When the poet Lord Byron went to university, dogs weren't allowed on campus, so he brought a bear. Walked it on a leash. No rules against that. And honestly, who's gonna tell a guy, sorry sir, your bear isn't allowed here? The 38-minute war. The shortest war in history lasted less than a Netflix episode. In 1896, Britain fought Zanzibar. They started at 9:02 a.m. By 9:40, it was over. Zanzibar surrendered. Boom, done. The Great Molasses Flood. In 1919, Boston was hit by a tsunami of molasses. A storage tank burst, sending a sticky 25-foot-high wave crashing through the streets at 35 miles per hour. It destroyed buildings, killed 21 people, and left the city smelling like pancakes for decades. King Tut's Space Dagger. Inside King Tut's tomb, archaeologists found a dagger made from a meteorite. Yep, the boy king had a literal space sword. Forget Excalibur, Tut had alien steel. History's wildest funeral roast. St. Lawrence, when ordered to hand over the church's treasure, pointed to the poor and sick and said, "These are our treasures." Later, while being roasted alive, he supposedly quipped, "Turn me over, I'm done on this side." That's not just bravery, that's next level dark comedy. The Viking hygiene plot twist. Despite their savage reputation, Vikings were actually clean freaks. Archaeologists found tons of combs, tweezers, and even ear cleaners in their graves. They bathed weekly, way more than other Europeans. Barbarians? Nah, groomed warriors. The first online sale was drugs. Back in 1971, way before Amazon, students at Stanford used ARPANET, the early internet, to arrange a deal with MIT students. What were they selling? Weed. Yep, the very first online transaction in history was an illegal drug deal. The journalist who went undercover in an asylum. Nellie Bly faked insanity to get locked inside a mental asylum in the 1880s. For 10 days, she lived a nightmare, then exposed the horrific conditions in her reporting. Later, she literally raced around the world in 72 days, beating Jules Verne's fictional record. The ancient Egyptian pregnancy test. Forget pea sticks. Ancient Egyptians would pour a woman's urine over wheat and barley seeds. If they sprouted, she was pregnant. Shockingly, modern science tested this method and it was about 85% accurate. Vlad the Impaler, monster or a hero? Vlad III of Wallachia, better known as Vlad the Impaler, inspired the Dracula legend with his brutal punishments. But in Romania, many still see him as a national hero who defended his land from the Ottomans. One man's monster, another's savior. The Pope who declared war on cats. In 1233, Pope Gregory IX linked cats with witchcraft. Mass killings of cats followed, and with fewer cats around, rats thrived, helping spread the Black Death. One people decision may have literally fueled a plague. Female gladiators were real. They were called gladiatrices. Rare, yes, but women did fight in Roman arenas, often as a special spectacle. Imagine the crowd's reaction. Not just men with swords, women proving their ferocity in the sand. The exploding beard plot. In 16th century Russia, Tsar Ivan the Terrible had enemies strapped with gunpowder hidden in their beards. When the fuses were lit, boom! Dark humor level, medieval. The Great Fire that baked bread. London's Great Fire of 1666 started in a bakery on Pudding Lane. Within days, it destroyed 13,000 houses. But here's the twist. Only 6 confirmed deaths were recorded. For such a massive disaster, the official death toll was shockingly low. A samurai with an afro. Yasuke, an African slave brought to Japan in the 1500s, impressed warlord Oda Nobunaga so much with his strength and intelligence that he was made a samurai. From slavery to samurai armor, his story is almost too incredible to believe. Napoleon was once attacked by fish. On a campaign in Egypt, Napoleon tried to catch Nile catfish. The fish weren't having it. They lashed out with their sharp spines and left him bleeding, defeated by fish. The Pope who kept a pet elephant. Pope Leo X owned a white elephant named Hanno in the 1500s. It was trained, beloved, and even paraded through Rome. Sadly, it died young, but Romans mourned it like a celebrity. The Mad King who barked like a dog. King Charles VI of France thought he was made of glass. To protect himself, he wore iron rods in his clothes so he wouldn't shatter. He also ran around howling like a dog. Madness really ruled.
A war over a bucket. In 1325, Bologna and Modena went to war over a wooden bucket stolen from a well. Thousands fought and 2,000 died for a bucket. Spoiler, Modena kept it, and it's still on display today. The inventor who shot himself with his own device. Franz Weichelt, known as the Flying Tailor, jumped off the Eiffel Tower in 1912 to test his homemade parachute suit. It failed. The crowd watched in horror as the suit collapsed. His invention literally killed him. The emperor who made his horse a senator. Caligula, Rome's most infamous emperor, loved his horse Incitatus so much he gave it a marble stable, servants, and planned to make it a senator. Imagine today's parliament with a horse neighing during debates. A beardless emperor. Peter the Great of Russia hated beards. He even taxed men who wanted to keep them. The result? Beardless faces everywhere, and a lot of grumpy nobles paying the beard tax. The Corpse Trial. In 897, Pope Stephen VI dug up the body of his predecessor, dressed it in papal robes, and put it on trial. The dead pope was found guilty, stripped of his title, and thrown into the river. The Cadaver Synod remains one of the most bizarre moments in church history. The president who fought a duel. Andrew Jackson once killed a man in a duel after the guy insulted his wife. Jackson was shot in the chest, but still managed to fire back and win. He carried that bullet in his body for the rest of his life. Dancing bears in Parliament. In 1653, Oliver Cromwell tried to shut down Parliament. One politician mocked him by saying, "You have sat too long for any good you have been doing. In the name of God, go." And yes, street performers with dancing bears were more popular than the politicians themselves. The day it rained meat. In 1876, chunks of raw meat fell from the sky in Kentucky. People thought it was a sign from God. Scientists later decided it was likely vultures vomiting mid-flight. Mystery solved, but still gross. History isn't just about kings and wars. It's about the absurd, the hilarious, and the downright bizarre moments that textbooks often skip. Which of these blew your mind the most? Tell me in the comments. Smash that like button and stay tuned because the weirdness never ends.